Start off with the only statement about spring thus far. It's been a really good spring for us. You know, the things that we've done offensively have really played to the skill set of our quarterback first and foremost, which both those guys have had really good springs for us. And then it also has played to, you know, what our skill around them can do, and it's been a really good spring thus far. I think everybody's excited and, you know, happy with the progress that we've made thus far. So it's been a good spring.
Brian, on the left.
Oh,
we're not going to do no mics, I guess. Right?
Cool.
Okay,
yeah.
So what?
He's known for that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Could you kind of walk us through the process of what went into the decision to go to a more up-tempo thing and make it a permanent thing? And did you guys, I assume this is an that you as an offensive staff went to Charlie and said, we really need to do this. Is that how it works?
Well, we basically sat down as an entire staff, and obviously Charlie, you know, in the head of that, and looking what we knew at the end of the season exactly what our skill set was that we'd be dealing with in the season coming up. And everything starts with your quarterback. So, you know, we looked at what we had in both Tyrone and Gerard, and obviously what we had recruited into the program in Kai. And, you know, what is it that we can do to put them in the best position to be, you know, possible to be successful, to play to that skill set. And, you know, that was obviously, you know, a more of a spread, wide open attack where, you know, they have a lot of run-pass options available to them. But we could utilize, you know, their skill as a runner. And both those guys, and Kai included, are coming in. They have different running styles, but you can run all three of them. Then, you know, also into that was, you know, what we could do to help our offensive line also. You know, keeping things consistent for them, and you know, we could get them really good at the blocking patterns we were asking them to do. So it became a no-brainer for us as we moved on, and you know, we added the speed element of something that we played in a little bit last year, and you know, it was something that you know, we felt like we played better at, you know, and it would aid what we were getting ready to do. So everything that we Saul just pointed us in this direction.
Set over the
Shawn, is there a lot of overlap? Because Charlie did say that he wouldn't be opposed to playing both guys. Is there certain packages for either or?
No, there's no packages for either or. It's built for you know, both of them. It's built for the type of quarterback that we want to bring into our program.
Far left anymore? Far right.
That's Coach Strong said that Gerard Hurd has kind of closed the gap on swoops, especially over the last couple of weeks. Can you tell me what you've seen from Gerard and maybe the improvements that he's been making? Yeah,
I think, you know, I told him yesterday coming off the field, he's been the single most important thing that happened to this football team was his improvement. He had a great winter this winter, and you know, we spent a lot of time together. I think he, just by the natural process of having been in, you know, the different things can happen to him from a defensive standpoint. And he's seen so many different defenses when he saw in high school. And, you know, he's more comfortable with that. He's more comfortable with what we're doing, you know, the style of play that we're playing at and how to make decisions in it. So, you know, he really has upped his ante. It started back in the winter. He, you know, the first week, you know, he was getting his feet underneath him. You know, it was kind of hit or miss, and I pulled him aside and said, listen, you know, you need to eliminate, you know, the bad plays, the ones that hurt the offense. And it's real simple. And I think he took him through what he needed to see in those mistakes. And he went out a week ago this past Monday, so it's been 2 weeks of really good football. And in the course of that happening, you know, just the you know, what happens to, you know, everybody in that room, and Tyrone being that guy in front of him, you know, his ante went up, you know, because it has to. So it's made our whole football team better and stronger. And, you know, really, Gerard, I think, you know, a long time ago, I was, you know, my education major was taught the teacher will appear when the student's ready. And he was ready to go, and he's really hung on to the things we've asked him to do. He's done a nice job with it.
Will school start on Saturday?
Yeah. You know, and we're not going to. You know, There's no way we'll. You know, I think it's not. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be fair to the football team or fair to those guys who are competing to name a starter. You know, right now we're going to let those guys compete. It's been healthy and good for both of them. They've both embraced it. You know, Gerard had a breakout run yesterday, and the first guy that met him in the end zone was Tyrone. And that's why I want my room to be. Whenever the quarterback position is right, the team is right. And it also not only comes in competition, but, you know, the spirit in which they compete. And one of the things that happened at this position, because it has so much responsibility, pressure on it, you know, you begin to respect each other's work. And those two guys have been each other's best ally and best friend in this competition, and they've made each other better. They've embraced the, you know, the competitive part of it, which has been, you know, what I wanted them to see and get. So I feel like I have a room like I left, and the rooms I'm used to now.
So could they play two in every game? Could you play two quarterbacks?
You know, you don't want to do that, and I don't even want to go down that road. I mean, I think, you know, when you do that kind of stuff, if you know, there's no saying too that if you have two, you have none. You know, you got to have leadership, and you know, they're not competing to share time. They're competing to be the starter. So, you know, I think that's what's best for the football team.
Would you say that bringing in a transfer quarterback is less of a need now than maybe when the spring started?
It's less of a need. We don't really even have those kind of talks right now because of the way those guys have performed. You know, but I'm a humble guy. I've learned in this profession, it's a humbling profession. You know, it's a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month process.
Shawn, you said there's no plans, or it would be unfair to name a starter right now.
Mm-hmm.
When does it become fair to name a starter, and is there a date?
No, there's no date. You don't do that. I mean, you do it whenever it shows itself. So, you know, I've been in this profession, coaching this position for a long time, and you don't do that. That's not what's right for the team or right for those competing. You don't put a date on it unless you have to. You know, I think those things show themselves over the course of time, show themselves, you know, at a point, you know, that is reasonable for the team, and you manage it that way as coaches too.
You plan on finishing spring without having named the starter?
Well, you know, we're going to let those kids compete, is what I'm saying. Yeah, we're going to let them compete. Tyrone was walking out there first, you know, just because, you know, but Gerard, I'm sure Charlie told you guys that yesterday, Gerard has made it a competition where it wasn't a competition before. He's made it one.
Can you talk about he's kind of a fun-loving guy, and you know, obviously that quarterback position has to be the guy who's getting people to summer workouts and stuff. Can you just talk about his evolution as a leader and his personality?
And you're talking about Gerard. And I think, you know, it's for all those guys, you know, the example that I talked to them about, and I think they're both an example of this. You know, it starts with your work ethic. You know, and you shouldn't have to lead by words if you lead by example. So both of them have been great leaders by example. In our winter conditioning, they were two of the most competitive players we had in it. And you know, I really believe that's what both of them are. You know, they've been great competitors in whatever we've asked them to do. And you know, the teammates respect them because of the work they've put into it. And then now you see the production that both of them are putting out there on the field, and it just, you know, continues to garner more respect.
Coach, with it seems like one of the biggest, as far as offensive development, one of the biggest feathers in the staff's cap recently has clearly been Teddy Bridgewater and what you were able to do with him at Louisville. With the switch to this spread system, there's nothing like what that was at Louisville. Are you still able to sell recruits on what you did with Teddy Bridgewater, or is that completely out of the way?
No, it's you know, today, you know, I listen to all these experts talk about the draft, and I think it's the #1 position in this sport, football, is quarterback. So you have to have a plan for developing those players. on and off the field. It starts off the field because if it doesn't happen off the field, it'll never happen on the field. And it begins by learning defensive football, understanding how defenses are put together, what they're trying to do to you. It just streamlines the information, makes it easier. So I'm doing the same things I did with Teddy Bridgewater with these kids. I'm not doing anything any different. You know, defensive football's taught, the decision-making process and the passing game's taught. What's a little bit different is, and we ran Teddy a little bit, but not much because of the value he brought to us as an elite passer. I'm doing more with those guys in the run decide game because of what we're doing, but the development is the same. You know, there's fundamental training on the field that they've got to have, and that's probably the biggest thing that I've seen in both of them. You know, their footwork. You know, letting their eyes take their feet to balance, and, you know, getting the ball out and being efficient with the football, one-piece passer. I see all that in their work. So that, you know, I did the same things with Teddy. So I'm doing those same core things with them. There's fundamental things at this position that you have to do. And I think it's in the classroom and on the football field. And what's different is the style of play, but that's it. You know, that's it.
So do you think like you said, the draft talk and all the talk that you hear, do you feel like, you know, when they talk about, you know, guys like Mariota that come from, you know, spread systems, less, you know, terminology and things that go on between plays, you don't think that do you think that that's kind of a miss? No,
there's validation in the things that they're saying, and I think a lot of that goes back to, you know, you listen to, you know, I watch that stuff all the time because I'm just my hobby is football, so I watch it at home. You know, I was watching John Gruden do his quarterback school with Mariota, and just watching, you know, some of the things and picking up some of the things I know where John was trying to take it, and, you know, but here's the deal, you know, those kids in these spread offenses, they have the chalk in their hand more than a guy in a drop back system does. In a lot of respects, because it's on the move decision making, it's athletic decision making. So, you know, I think the core principles of teaching them to be a passer and the fundamental aspect, training, you know, I'm going to teach my guy that way. I'm not going to ever let a kid go be an elite quarterback and not understand how to manage a game of football, situational football, decision making, you know, the fundamental aspect that they're going to be trained. And you know, like I teach them how to their footwork and their drop mechanics from underneath center, because that, you know, you can't have lazy feet. You've got to step to your drop, and that's all about getting the balance and getting the ball out. So those core fundamentals, I'm just tweaking my background, if that's all makes sense. You know, I'm taking my background and, you know, making it and tweaking it to them and what we're doing with the kids I'm handling now. But so much of the stuff is exactly the same.
Shawn, who in your mind, either because of the system or just their own development, who do you expect to be your top playmakers?
Oh, I tell you what, from what we've seen this spring, because, you know, you always, you know, you still have the outlay of time on your hand. But, you know, Petey has had a great spring. He's been very consistent. You know, he's done a great job for us. He's probably been the most consistent receiver we've had. Continues to deliver big plays. Hit 2 big plays yesterday. You know, Marcus Johnson has begun to develop and come along, which his talent suggests, on a more consistent basis. You know, you see DeJay becoming more detailed now, which is something he needed to do so he can totally realize his talent. I think Jay's done an unbelievable job with those guys, because he's a taskmaster, and he holds them accountable to, you know, the fundamental detail and the assignment detail of their position, and you can see that consistency, which is his teaching, you know, his heart, you know, he's hard on them. And you see it coming out. So I like what we're getting in Marcus. I like where DeJay's going. Petey's been awesome all spring for us, and, you know, a guy like Ty Templin has just been smart, tough, and dependable. He's delivered for us. You know, he's a guy that sometimes goes unnoticed, and he's a guy that ends up making a lot of plays for you. You know, Andrew Beck at tight end has been really good. Whiteley has come on. And, you know, these last 2 weeks has really progressed because he's coming from so far. I didn't realize till he told me walking off, coming back from practice last week, he's only played football 4 years. You know, so he's, you know, a kid that's been up in Canada, and he's been chasing a hockey puck around as a young kid. So, you know, he's progressing nicely for us. Not a done product, but really coming along. Jonathan's had a nice spring. I like what Deontay's done. You know, I think Catalan is going to be a good back in what we're doing. He's been explosive also. And you know, we just got Amari back. He's been nursing a hamstring, but he's been back. And you know, you like what his talent flashes out there. And we've had him a short time, but I would expect him to be another one.
Shawn, the things that Gerard can do in the read option. I know he busted a big run yesterday in the scrimmage. Is that something that you kind of have to appreciate as something that can kind of make this offense?
Right. Yeah, he's explosive. You know, he's explosive. I mentioned earlier, he and Ty have different running styles. Ty's explosive and powerful, where Gerard's explosive and fast, and meaning that they both can make the same reads and decisive athletic decisions and create the first 5 yards. And you know, Ty will run over you and hurt you, where Gerard will take it to the house.
Shawn, Shawn, what's it been like having Jay Norville on the staff, and how has Trailer kind of adjusted to the collegiate game?
Both of them have been awesome. You know, Jeff has not, you know, he hasn't missed a beat. You know, he's been great for me. He's such a humble soul. He's brought a lot of you know, expertise, and you know, he's just a great teacher. I mean, I think he's done a great job in that room. He's very consistent, very fundamentally based. He's been a great teacher for us. Added a lot to our staff room. You know, he's got, you know, an easy input. You know, he usually just walks up and says, you know, I was thinking about, which means he's got a really good point. And I listen to him because he's got a lot of wisdom. And you know, Jay, he and I worked together at Nebraska, and you know, I knew he was a master coach. I mean, I knew he knew his, you know, he knows receiver play like nobody else in this business, and he's, you know, I know what kind of taskmaster he is. You know, he's a detailed, hard-driven, perfection-driven coach. So, you know, you've felt them on the field immediately with the development in their positions. And I felt, you know, we felt them in our staff room because they've had great input, especially the direction that we're heading offensively. It's been a good match.
Is the spring game going to be kind of the tiebreaker, I guess, for Gerard Hurd and Tyrone Swoop? So you're going to be looking at that and saying whoever performs best gets the job, or is it other factors?
No, we'll just go steady Eddie. You know, we want it to be earned over a period of time, and you know, Gerard just really started making a push and made it a competition 2 weeks ago. So there's consistency over time to prove, and every day is fun because you know, yesterday Tyrone Swoop was off the charts, and you know, so you know, day before the last scrimmage, which would have been Saturday, you know, Gerard had a big day. So you know, it's a great matchup, and our whole football team's better because those two guys are performing so well right now. So you know, again, Saturday will be another test for them, and we'll see where they're at. And over time, we'll find out who the most consistent performer is.
This is about the time you thought the light would come on for Gerard?
I was hoping it'd come on, yeah. You know, usually it takes a guy's got to sit in there for a while. You know, they're coming out of high school. You know, he wasn't a mid-year guy, which, you know, I never have been a big, you know, I've always, earlier in my career when this rule started in play, I was like, yeah, you know, senior year, they've got to be ready for it. Family's got to be ready for it. But for a quarterback, it's huge. He didn't have that, you know, so fall was that period of time for him. And, you know, it's an old analogy I used, the teacher will appear when the student's ready, and he came ready. So it's been good to have.
Yeah, he's still going to do one-on-ones, and how many plays Saturday?
Charlie, did he announce that yesterday? Yeah. One-on-ones, yeah.
How many plays are going to do?
No, we don't. You know, we'll play quarters and we'll go. I would, you know, right now that was the plan. And you know, Charlie may see differently today. Right now, you know, that's our plan, just to go out there and do what we've done.
Offense ahead of defense, or like?
I believe that's the way we're going to line up and go. Yes.
I mean, offense just had a better spring.
Oh, I don't know. I thought you do offense versus defense. I was like, yeah, pretty good. It's usually the way it's run around here, man. At least the last games I've seen, dude. Well, you threw me for a loop there, buddy. I don't really look at it like that. I'm really concerned with my side, that I'm responsible for, and I'm really happy with their progress. It feels, I feel like a unit, and I feel like, you see coaching on film and see players developing. So I just like where we're at. So I want Vance Vance be beating me out here in the hallway, man. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Coach.